Okay, so this is with our data making the same graph, essentially, that they made.
Okay. Yeah, that looks just like theirs. Wait, does that say aggregate?
Yes, exactly. What they should have done is looked at this data.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that tells a totally different story.
Exactly. I've heard some claims recently about YouTube Shorts that raised a few red flags for me, so I went ahead and I did my own study. I analyzed over 10,000 YouTube Shorts. For those who are interested, that equates to over 305 billion views worth of shorts. In this assessment, I looked at how long each one of the shorts was, how many subscribers the channel has, how many views that specific short got, and I have some other data, including how old the YouTube short is. And I wanted to see which of these factors actually had an impact on how many views they got. Now, for those of you who are into data and want this data set for yourself, I will link to literally an Excel file that you can download. I will put it in the comments. I'll pin a comment down below so that you can download the file for yourself. You can see exactly what I did, and you can go ahead and poke holes in my analysis if you want to, or do your own. I don't care. It's a huge data set, and it took a lot of time and a lot of effort and cost me a bit of money to be able to gather. But you can have it totally for free if you're into that kind of stuff. No judgment from me. I'm obviously very into it. In fact, I have a ton of experience with data analysis. I have a degree in chemical engineering and a master's in business administration. Both of those required me to take statistics classes, but in addition to that, I spent years working as a chemical engineer and as a marketing analyst. And in both of those roles, I basically spent 8 hours a day doing data analysis. In fact, it's something I'm really good at and something that I really like doing, which is why this channel has been able to leverage my data analysis skills ever since the beginning. Without any further ado, I want to show you the data. Now, you may have seen this chart before. This chart is showing for all over, like I said, over 10,000. In fact, it was exactly 10,084 YouTube Shorts that I pulled. And for this more than 10,000 YouTube Shorts, I found that there's a spike between about, let's say, 9 or 10 seconds and about 16 seconds. Somewhere in there is where there are the most views on YouTube. But also notice there's kind of another little sharper uprising at the end. Mine doesn't look exactly like other people's, but that's because we each pulled our own data set. But there is this spike at the end. So you're saying, yeah, Ricky, we know this. That's why we know that short shorts do better, right? If you make it shorter, more people will watch it. Here's the problem. This is aggregate views. That means the sum total of all views across all of the videos. Sum total, not average. I want to show you another chart. Look at this next chart. This chart is showing you for the exact same data set how many videos were that duration. And notice that there's a big spike in about the same range. About 9 seconds through what, about 16 seconds? And another spike toward the end, around 59 seconds. You see, it was that second spike that really clued me in that there was a big problem with this data set. It is no surprise to me that there would be a lot of YouTube Shorts that are about 59, 60 seconds long. That's because I've created a bunch like that too. It's because whenever you try to make a YouTube short and you think it's gonna be short enough and you end up with 2 minutes worth of footage that you wanted to keep in, what do? You trim it up till you can get it just barely under a minute, and then you say, oh, finally, and you publish that YouTube short. And it's about 59 to 60 seconds long. However, in my rational brain, it makes no sense that a 59-second short would do better than a 52-second short. Whenever I look at data, I try to pair up the result that I'm seeing with some sort of mechanism that would drive that. There's got to be a reason why that would be. And then we hypothesize and then we test. That's what scientists do. As someone who's been on YouTube for about a decade and who's created a bunch of YouTube shorts of various lengths, there's no reason that I could come up with why a 59-second short would do any better than a 47-second short. Okay, so let me show you the third graph. This third graph is the one that we should have been looking at from the very beginning. This is average views per video based on the duration. When we look at that, look at what that chart shows. Look how flat it is up until about 21, 22 seconds. It's super flat there. Why? Because that's where we have the most data. Again, back to chart number 2, up until about 16, 17 seconds, and then it's still higher up through about 20, 21 seconds, and then it dips a lot lower. We have so much more data because most people are making their YouTube shorts somewhere in that length. And since there's more data, it's more smooth. As we look further past about 20 seconds, it jumps around quite a bit, but there's no trend. I mean, you could potentially argue that it trends down, but I mean, look, around 58 seconds is better, and the highest point we have is at 53 seconds. We got another spike at about 39 seconds. And so it's really hard to draw a conclusion that there's any sort of trend that longer shorts do more poorly. Now, I ran some other statistical tests, but one very simple one that we can run is a simple correlation test. When I compare the data set of how long the video is with how many views it gets, we calculate a simple correlation coefficient. It's called the R-squared. And the R-squared is simply just a measure of how closely aligned these two data sets are, either correlating positively or negatively, right? So the closer that they correlate to each other, the closer this number will be to 1. The worse of the correlation it is, the closer it will be to 0. When I calculate the R-squared of this data set, again, between duration and number of views, I get an R-squared of 0.028. That's incredibly close to 0.
To say it another way, it means that only 2% of the data explains the variation in the number of views you are getting versus the duration of the video.
Again, I run other statistical tests and I find p-values that essentially tell me that there's a very, very, very low statistical likelihood that the duration of the YouTube short has anything to do with how many views it gets. Well, if it's not duration, then what is it? Well, next let's look at how many subscribers the channel has. You would think YouTube hates small channels, that's what everybody thinks, right? YouTube loves big channels, so let's do a comparison. R-squared between subscribers and how many views they got. And the R-squared is 0.04. That's not a whole lot better than the duration one. In fact, of the things that I was able to gather just from this analysis, the only one that you could make any argument for is the age of the video, which by the way had an R-squared of 0.22. That's like almost 10 times better than the R-squared of the duration. So shorts that have been out longer have more views. Again, that doesn't really tell us anything though. Like, post shorts and leave them out there? Yeah, leave them up. So how do we succeed with shorts if there's no specific thing that drives them? But there is. There's a very specific things that drives them. And in fact, it's summed up incredibly well, I thought, by Renee Ritchie on the Creator Insider YouTube channel. This is a guy who knows what he's talking about because he's literally like spokesman for YouTube. He said when talking about the ideal length for a YouTube short, he said it's the same as for any video really. As long as it needs to be, but no longer, as short as it can be, but no shorter. You see, when it comes to a YouTube short, it's critical that every second of the video, there's a reason for somebody to not swipe away. We have to consider the activity, the behavior of the person who's watching. When I'm watching short form content, whether it's on YouTube or on TikTok or Facebook or Instagram, I'm watching on my phone and my finger's like this. Literally just waiting for an opportunity to swipe. If your short does not give people a reason to stay till the end, and if at any point in the video, I don't think I'm either one, gonna get what I want out of this video, or two, I'm starting to feel a little bit bored, I'm gone. And that is what we don't want. Anytime somebody swipes away from your video, it tells YouTube, that person didn't want to watch it. And the more often that happens, the sooner YouTube is going to stop showing your short. In fact, we've seen a lot of charts where we look at our view count for a brand new short and it goes up for a few hours and then it literally flatlines, like YouTube just stopped showing it. And that's because YouTube pushes out your short to a test audience who it thinks is gonna like it. And if it just does not get one, the view duration that it should, or two, the swipe away rate that it should, they're done when they're done with that initial audience. It's just done. Now, if you have a YouTube short that's done that before, leave it up. You can take it down and put it back up and take it down and put it back up and you can play that game. YouTube doesn't recommend it. We've tested it, it didn't do any better. In fact, each time we retested the video, it did more poorly than the previous times. But what I have also seen is on videos like that where they completely flatlined, it's not uncommon for a week later, sometimes 3 months later, that video to be given another shot and another shot. And as YouTube starts to figure out more and more and more who the ideal audience for that short is, each one of those shots that it gives will go a little further because fewer people will swipe away and the people that stay will stay longer. So when it comes to making YouTube shorts, there's no perfect number that's gonna work for everybody. There's no number that you should be shooting for. Should I be trying to make 15-second shorts or should I be trying to make 40-second shorts? What we should be doing is we should be taking whatever the message is that we're trying to give, and we should be planning out every second of that short and making it as long as it needs to be, but no longer, and as short as it can be, but no shorter. Do that, and your shorts are gonna fly. Or you can try to cater all of your shorts to a specific target length that has no scientific bearing and continue to wonder why they're not performing that well. Hey, before you go, I encourage you to go check out this video right here. In that video, I'm gonna walk you through what our entire plan is for how we help people build their YouTube channels to ultimate success. And for me, success means making a great income. I wanna help you make that great income too, so go check out the video.